So today we're going to work on something called anchoring the breath or bridging the breath. A lot of times you might be in a Qigong class or a Tai Chi class and the teacher might be saying, okay, let's put our breath into the lower abdomen, into the lower dantian. Let's let our awareness sink to the belly. And we're thinking, what does that even mean? I don't know how should that feel and what does that mean? It's very esoteric and it's hard to actually think of it practically. So today we're going to learn a technique where you can really know that you are breathing at the lower dantian at that level. So one of the first things that we need to focus on when we're doing this breath technique is the idea of having a straight back. You know, as we work together through this, as we go deeper into Qigong, Neigong, one part of that is that we are conditioning the body to be able to work with energy, with internal energy. Now, as a football player trains to have a body to play football, a weightlifter is training for a weightlifter's body, or a ballet dancer, they're all training and their bodies all look radically different, obviously. But we are doing the same thing internally. So we are shaping our body that it's going to be able to handle and allow that flow of that energy as easily as possible. One of the things that's involved is having a straight spine. And so at first, having a straight spine might feel uncomfortable. You might have some aches and pains in the back, and that's okay. You can just gradually work into it. That just comes with the territory, comes with you're learning anything new, you're going to have some aches and pains, and it's hard work. Now, if you're having actual sharp pains in your joints and stuff, anything like that, that's something quite different. But it's very natural just to have muscle aches as we're working into this. So when we talk about having a straight back, just imagine that if there was like a thread pulling up the top of your head, it's pulling up into the air, very similar to when we do our Wu-Ji stance, when we're standing up. We're doing the same thing when we're seated. So the head is pulled up, the skeleton is nice and rigid, standing upright, and then everything else, the skin, the muscle, the internal organs, the fascia, the tendons, everything else is pulling down away from the bones. So if you had my arm here, nice and straight, the bone, all the skin, everything else is pulling down away from that. So there's a lot of tension, internal tension happening, even though it might just look like we're just seated, or in Wu-Ji, like we're just standing, nothing's going on. We know that inside there's a lot of pulling and tugging going on within the body. So we stand in an upright position, and one way that we can get in, just kind of know that we're there, is just let your head drop down, relax, slump, and then slowly stack the vertebrae up until you feel nice and upright, and just having that top of the head being lifted up. Very good. Okay, so taking a few nice breaths. And as we exhale, imagining that all of that, the fascia and those internal tissues, if you could have just imagined that it's like a big sponge filled with water and it's pulling down. So you're having that stretching, the bones and the tissue pulling against each other. Very good. So we're going to start off, just take a couple breaths. Good. So now I would like you just to allow the breath just to continue. Don't manipulate it in any way, just let it go. You know, our breath is doing its thing 99.9% of the day and when we're asleep. So we're just going to let it go now and let it do its thing. And we will be just kind of casually observing what's happening in our body. Okay. So again, just allow for that easy flow. Now, as I'm doing this, you can close your eyes. You're more than welcome to. Or you can have them open. I'm going to keep my eyes open just for the sake of the video. But, close your eyes if you want to. And again, as we practice this, you can choose to practice this by watching the video with me. You can do it on your own. Maybe you want to do it longer. And just, keep working on it. So continue to just let that breath go. Now, if I choose to have my hands here, you can have your hands tucked in here with a mudra. I just like to have my hands right here at my knees. Okay, so what I'd like you to do is allow that breath is coming and going as it pleases. I want you to locate in your mind the two rings of your nostrils. So exactly where the air is moving into the nostrils, just find that point right there in your mind. Just become aware of that spot. Now, I don't want you to really think about the movement of air moving in and out. Just let the breath move in and out in its own way. But just be aware of that space, those two rings there, where the nostrils are. Okay, very good. Now we're going to bring our awareness back a little bit. So we're going to actually fill the inside of the nose, and we're going to fill all of the sinus passages, how you would imagine the sinus passages, how they would look. So if we were like with a software program where you could delete everything else from the body, and you could just see those two sections, the nostrils inside of the nose and the sinus passages. Just focus on that and think to yourself, what would that look like to me if I could just identify and isolate those shapes? Again, you're not worried about the breath. Just let it flow. You're not manipulating the breath. And you're allowing just a casual observing. You're just kind of sitting by and watching that shape. Okay, very good. So now let's just put that shape to the side for now. Now we're going to think about a different shape. And this shape is from the sinus passage down through the throat to the base of the neck. What does that shape look like? When I think of it, it's like a tube because you have the trachea going down. In your mind's eye, when you look at your own shape, how does that look? And again, we're not manipulating breath. Just looking at that shape for the sake of that shape. Isolate it. Okay, so now we're going to bridge. So I want you to think about the nostrils, inside of the nose, the sinus passages, and now connect and link that piece all the way down to the base of the neck. So looking at that whole shape, just passively observe that. What does that look like to you? Very good. So now let's just leave that shape to the side. We're going to look at another shape. That shape is from the top of the lungs all the way down to the bottom of the lungs, right in between the diaphragm and the bottom of the neck. The lungs. What do they look like? Get a mental image of your lungs. Now I know as soon as we think of lungs, our conscious mind wants to inflate the lungs, make a big, breath, and let's just let our mind take a rest. Let's just let the breath do what it wants to do. We don't need to help it. So just let the breath move in as it would. But just look at that shape. Okay, so now we're going to bridge everything. So going from the nostrils, behind into the nose, sinus passages, all the way down to the base of the neck, and now into the lungs. That whole shape from the nostrils all the way down to the bottom of the lungs, what does that look like? Passively observe it, allowing the breath to flow. And now we might want to adjust our spine. After a while, we might have a natural tendency, even if we're not just subconsciously happening, where we start to slump. So just take that little thread, the top of the head, and just pull it back up ever so gently. It's okay. Just helping things along. And just think about that shape. And while that's happening, just feeling as the exhale is happening, feeling that sinking in the body. Song. It's called Fang Song. It's sinking, relaxing, and stretching happening at the same time. Okay, so we're going to put that shape to the side. And now we're just going to think about the diaphragm. The diaphragm runs between the bottom of the chest and the top of the abdomen. So that just runs across here. So just visualize the diaphragm. Isolate it. Don't worry about the movement of breath. Let that happen. Very good. Now let's connect. So going from the nostrils inside the nose, sinus passages, all the way down from the sinus passages to the base of the neck, in to the lungs, and now connecting to the diaphragm as well. Seeing that whole shape. Checking the back. Very good. Now let's go. We're going to isolate just the belly. Remove everything else, put it to the side. So from the top of the diaphragm all the way down, you have your hip. You have your pelvis, the pelvic floor as we call it. It's the space all the way in between, right there. Visualize, see that shape. Become aware of it. What does it look like to you? Nothing else. Just spend some time just observing that shape. Letting the breath flow in and out. Okay, very good. Now let's bring it all together. Nostrils, inside of the nose, sinus passages, all the way down to the base of the neck into the lungs, through the diaphragm, and now adding the abdomen, that whole shape. Just observe. Very good. So now we are belly breathing. This is abdominal breathing. We are doing it actively. We're using our awareness and our consciousness to find that place and to sit and basically meditate on the space. Over time, as I said, this will become easier and easier. Once it becomes pretty easy, then we will start to apply other techniques which will learn how we can do this without even really thinking about it. It's just going to start happening. Then it's going to takes a little bit of time, and just have patience. It's going to happen. Okay, very good. Let's go ahead and just let the hands come up. Inhale. And exhale, coming down. Inhale. And exhale down. Okay, very good. So there's going to be 2 more videos available there. And now that we have found where the belly is, when we know when people talk about belly breathing, abdominal breathing, this is what's going on. I have 2 videos that they find where the lower dantian is. You hear a lot of speaking about breathing into the lower dantian and putting your awareness in the lower dantian. Again, we don't know where the lower dantian is until somebody tells us where it is. It's very esoteric. So I have 2 videos that very practically will help us to locate those physically in the body. And so with all those together, then this will really take our practice to a next level. Okay, so have a great day, and I'll talk to you soon.